I'm Spike Cohen. You asked for address. I live just outside of Russell, Kentucky, in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Address just off of Intercoastal Drive. I don't know if you actually care to have my actual address. I live very far away from here. I first heard about this. First of all, I want to thank you all for listening to us this time. I'm glad that it happened. I'm also glad that you didn't let them speak last time, because that's why we're here. But I want to thank you for letting us speak this time. I'd also like to give my condolences to you, Mr. Parson. I'm very sorry. No one should have to bury their own child, and I'm sorry that you're going through that from the bottom of my heart. I do want to do a little bit of housekeeping while I'm here. Just to let you know, I'm not sure who runs your social media, but there are comments that are being deleted and accounts that are being blocked. Who were not doing anything threatening. They were just talking about this eminent domain case. That violates federal law under Davison versus Randall. You're not allowed to do that. And they can actually take action against you for doing that. So I would encourage you to not do that. Talking about this case with Russell Convalescent Home, when I first heard about it, I wish I could say that it was a surprise to me, but it's not. This is happening in cities across the country. Now that doesn't matter to the residents here, but the fact is that because of bad decisions that have happened at the federal level, this is something that can now happen. Like James already said, when the founders created this constitutional republic that we live in, the purpose of eminent domain was to take as little land as possible from private owners in order to do immediate public works like infrastructure, like roads, like bridges, things like that, and to take as little as possible, and only after all other avenues had been exhausted. We're now at the point where there is a serious conversation being had here about taking a convalescent home and scattering its nearly 30 residents for a parking lot and green space and a farmer's market. Now, putting aside the fact that I was here long enough to see that there already seems to be plenty of space out there for a parking lot and green space and a farmer's market without taking the convalescent home, there's no need for that. But I don't need to make that argument. I don't think anyone here could seriously argue that that's needed, because I also don't think that that's the immediate reason why it's even happening in the first place. And I could talk about the optics of this, and I think that that might be something to talk about. The fact that, as James said, you have the power to stop this. If you choose not to, we're just getting started. Okay? Yeah. We are only getting started. Yeah. This crowd is the result of 2 Facebook posts and a tweet. This is only beginning. I've been speaking with national media who has asked me to let them know how this meeting went and what the results of it were. I would no more than you want Russell to be on the map of national public opinion because of this. But that's up to you. But that's only a political conversation. And yes, the locals here could also run folks against you, but that's also a local decision, and that's a political thing. I want to talk about the human toll of the decision that's being made here, because I think what has happened is that this has become an abstract idea. We're talking about, the concept of property rights or the concept of eminent domain, and we're not talking about the people that live here. We have 3 of them right here, Amanda and Ron and Carl. They live there. This is their home. When you leave here, you might not go straight home, but I would imagine by the end of this evening, you're going to go home. And I'd like you to consider what it would be like if you knew that the city government, you only found out after you heard it on the news, but you found out that the city government was taking your home because they didn't think it was as beautiful as a parking lot and a green space and a farmer's market. Forget the constitutional argument, the optics argument, the political argument. Imagine A, knowing that the government could even do that to you, and B, what that would feel like to you. Now, I would imagine that many of you, maybe not all of you, but many of you are in a financial position where if that happened, it would be quite a hardship to you for many ways, but you'd be able to spring back on your feet. That's not the case for these folks. They don't know where they're going to go. Now, I've talked with the folks at Russell Convalescent Home, and they've said that they've been looking for other facilities. They've yet to find one that had more than, I believe, room for 3 people that they know would pass
the state inspections for them to be able to run the convalescent home there. They don't know where they're going to live if this happens. And I would like you to consider that. If you or someone you cared about, because it appears that these folks don't qualify for someone you care about, which is unfortunate, but imagine that they are someone you care about, and ask yourself what it would be like if you or someone you cared about had to go through this. I sincerely hope you rethink this. But on the way here, actually when I pulled in, I saw what I think actually will be a great opportunity where we can get the parking lot and the green space and the farmer's market that you guys want. And it'll actually be on this side of the street too, and it won't involve taking anyone's home. I saw that there is a spa and an attorney's office right over here, or I guess right over here. There's a spa and an attorney's office over here, and the property that they occupy is roughly the same size as the property that's on Russell Convalescent Home. So if you've decided that you don't want to go through the voluntary process of finding someone who actually wants to sell their property to you, and you decide you want to go the eminent domain route, a nice step down, a compromise could be, you could seize those properties to build what you want there. It's just a small... Because then all they'd have to do is find a new place to have their spa and their attorney's office. You wouldn't have nearly 30 people looking for a new home on low income. People who have lived in that home, some of them for over 20 years, in a home that has been housing them and people like them for over 50 years. That seems like a good compromise to me. So if it's something that you can't consider to stop the eminent domain altogether, then that might be a good step down. I hope that the next time I come here, if ever, is under much better circumstances, but I can promise you this. If this is the decision that you choose to make, this will not be the last time that I'm here. This will not be the last time that these folks are here, and it will be the first time that many others are here. We are the power, liberty will win, and I sincerely hope you rethink this. Thank you for your time. Yeah.